Hi everyone, hope we're all doing amazing. Today I'm coming at you with a brand new video, and this one is going to be a part 2 of how to be a high value woman. These are going to be 9 random tips that have really helped me on my journey towards being the best version of myself. So I hope that it's going to help you out too. Now let's get right on into it. But before we do, please make sure to give this video a like and subscribe. It helps my channel out a lot, and I would really love to have you guys join me on this channel. Oh, also, I'm like such a typical YouTuber. Let's get right on into it. But before we do, oh my god, I have a part 1 of how to be a high value woman, which had some really juicy and high valuable tips. Highly valuable tips. I need to sleep. And now I promise, let's get into the real video. Tip number 1 to become a high value woman is to stay booked and busy. Now, I don't even need to say anything. This video is going to encapsulate this point perfectly. Bam.
Let me tell you something. If somebody tells you you cannot do something, bitch, you better get the fuck up and do it anyway. And look at me now. Boom. Booked. Busy. Busy and booked. You see me here, there, everywhere. And now. So y'all, get up. Never sit down, bitch. Get the fuck up. Do what you need to do. And win. Period. Period.
This video is super valuable because it just encapsulates the entire vibe of this point. When you stay booked and busy and you have so many different things going on in your life, you don't have enough time to overthink things. You're literally gonna be that woman that has no time for the drama, no time for the gossip. My friend and I had a conversation actually the other week where she's like, you know what, I'm just about to finish uni, I have a full-time job, there's so many things going on, I don't even know how to manage my time properly. She has her own YouTube channel. That is what I like to see. But what I told her is that you need to start a Google Calendar. It has been a life changer for me. When you stay booked and busy and you balance your social life, your gym time, your extracurricular activities, and everything is just situated and booked in, and you see this calendar full of, you know, tiny little things that you need to do, you're going to be so focused in on that. Now, tiny little side note, don't get too much into this. Sometimes you need to be more free-flowing and flexible because, you know, there's last-minute changes and life happens, and that's totally fine. But if you have that foundation and you're completely booked in for the week, you have more time to work on your goals. Now, it's also important to be booked into things that are important, that are helping you to grow towards your goal. Now, this doesn't even have to be for working towards a goal. This can be used as a simple tactic to just get over a boy. Like, when I broke up with my ex, I would always repeat with my friend, stay booked and stay busy. All I did was go to events. I'd have, you know, meetings scheduled with people, like business, career goals, and then reflecting and being like, you know what? Why do I even need this guy? Like, I am a badass bitch. Badass bitch, what you looking at? I'm gonna break that back, dismantle that. I still have TikTok songs stuck in my head to this day, and I deleted TikTok like a couple months ago. It's never gonna get out of my head. I'm so sorry. Number 2 is evenly distribute your priorities and balance everything out as much as possible. You never want to be focusing on just work and then, you know, you have your head in the sand and then 2 years later you're like, oh my god, I haven't been on a date for like 2 years. You're booked and you're busy, but you have that perfect balance between career, relationships, family, friends, extracurricular activities, sport. You know, you're out there doing the most. If someone is saying you're doing too much, they're not doing enough.
She like, bitch, you doing too much. I'm like, shut up, ho, you ain't doing enough.
You're a 3-dimensional person. You're not just your work, or you're not just someone's girlfriend. You are an array of different things. And so when you spread yourself out to different categories, then you'll be able to learn more about yourself. When I was in a 5-year relationship, I caught myself focusing on the relationship so much that when I got out of it, I was like, who is she? I wasn't even the same person that I was before I got into that relationship. And so I sort of lost myself in that. And you find women doing this all of the time. And so it's very important to balance everything out. Have that, you know, yoga class with your friends. Throw some new things in there. Go to like a 3-day trip to like, I don't know, Byron Bay if you've never been. Oh god, please don't go to Byron Bay for the 3rd time, Becky. Listen to new music. Listen to jazz for once. Jesus, Rita. I've been listening to too much hip hop, and then once I started going into like the jazz route, I was like, I feel like a different woman. Okay, so tip number 3 of becoming a high value woman is to stay kind. When you can't stay kind, stay neutral, and if you can't stay neutral, take yourself out of the situation. Now, there's not much to say about this one. We all know that you need to be a kind person to everyone because everyone is fighting their own battles, but it's so much easier said than done. Now, it is important to stay kind, but it's also important to not be walked all over. Now, women have this stereotype that they're passive, and then if they become mean, they are deemed as bitches. It's the way that you present yourself. And there's a difference between being bitchy about it and going for the head and, you know, taking things personally, to staying neutral and just listing your boundaries, and if those boundaries are crossed, you leave the situation. Be kind to absolutely every single person you meet, but if someone tries to test you about your kindness and tries to walk all over you, be assertive in a neutral way. Tip number 4 to becoming a high value woman is to stay open. Now, what do I mean by this? As high value women, when we have goals, we are laser sharp focused on them, and it's sometimes very hard for us to look up out of the world and see anything else but our goals. And while that is actually the goal, that is something I'm always striving towards, again, it's all about balance. It's about looking at your goals and then being open to different opportunities around you. A lot of the time I used to look at my goals and being like, I'm not accepting anything else but this. For example, my goal was and is still getting a video producer position in New York. Now, that has not changed, but previously I would be so tightly focused on applying for a job every single day, and that is amazing, but I never ever went up for air, meaning I was just every single day not looking at anyone, not looking at anything, applying for jobs. And the problem with that is that you won't be open to receiving anything else in your life that isn't going to New York. Like, if you open yourself up and kind of stop, smell the roses, come up for air once in a while, you might be able to receive something that is way better than getting a job in New York or whatever it is that you thought was going to be your goal. I love that saying where, you know, you have plans and God laughs at those plans, and that's very much the same in this situation. Be open to different blessings other than whatever it is that you're doing for your life, and that's great. Take action, put in all of the work, but sometimes just live life, man. I get like a DM being like, hey, there's a gym opening. We'd like to invite you to be one of the, you know, fitness influencers to be there and hype people up. I actually got a DM like this, and I'm keeping it real. I didn't reply because I was closed off. Who knows, maybe I would have went to that gym opening and met someone who could have directed me into the direction of someone in New York or someone that is doing YouTube that I would want to aspire to be like. Even in the same sense as like dating, right? If you haven't dated for a while and you're like, I'm a career woman, like I just want to move to New York. I'm basically just stockpiling all of my life examples on you guys. So like, you start dating, you become more open, and then you attract a guy that all of a sudden inspires you in a way that you haven't been even inspired before, or he says something or directs you in a certain way, you know, to do something else other than New York. But like, if you were closed off and you never met that person or you never went to that gym opening, you would have been all by yourself, just being really assertive and doing the action, and great, that's amazing, but don't forget that the universe is also trying to help you, and you should be able to receive the information as well. Number 5 is see the best in people and give people the benefit of the doubt. You go through all of these experiences and someone might have hurt you. You're walking along the street and you see someone trying to approach you, and all of a sudden you're like suspicious and you're like, what does this person want? It took me to talk with my friend who is into law of attraction, and she's like, you know what, just give everyone the benefit of the doubt, because when you're seeing the positive in people, people want to meet you at that expectation. And if you see the best in others, you won't see the bad sides to them. And of course, everyone has bad sides to them. And if you focus on the bad sides and if you're suspicious, you're kind of looking for those negatives, and they're bound to pop up because People have faults. We are not machines. This goes back to what I was saying previously, but tip number 6 is to travel and to meet new people. Again, I reiterate, when you're in a different environment, when you're in a different situation or circumstance, you become a completely different person. Life tests you in a way that you've never been tested before. There's a meme that's like, I've gone through enough tests. Where are my blessings? I don't need any more of these freaking tests. Just give me the good stuff, right? But it's so important to go through these tests, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to grow. I mean, yes, of course, people grow through positive circumstances, but we're not even talking about that. We're just talking about going into a different environment and seeing how you are in that environment. You can be affected positively, you could be affected negatively, you could be affected neutrally, but a different environment tests you in ways that, you know, your daily life could never test you. Everything has happened in your daily life. Like, you wake up at the same time and you go to sleep at the same time. What's new about that? And it's not even like environment. You meet new people that you've never met before, and those people have different outlooks on life. I know all of you guys love travel and it's great for escapism and adventure and learning about different cultures, but also see it as an opportunity to put yourself in a different situation. I feel like every single time I travel, I am changed in at least some sort of way. For example, New Zealand was my first sort of solo trip. I went to restaurants for the first time by myself. I went to bars for the first time by myself, and I actually met amazing, wonderful people that on that night told me like, oh, I would never have gone up to you if you were in like a group of girls. And you know, I've met so many people that I'm still in contact with to this day because I opened myself up and I learned from them and the situation. After that New Zealand trip, I was like, damn, I'm truly an independent woman. Like, I can do things by myself, I can go to places by myself, and that may sound basic to some people, but you have to understand that a lot of people like doing things with friends, or they'd rather just sit at home because it's intimidating or it's not fun, or you feel like you're gonna get judged. And I feel like there were moments where people did look at me and they were like, oh, she's by herself, but then, you know, they go back into doing their own thing. It's about not caring that people are gonna judge you for that split second. Maybe they're not even judging you. Maybe they're thinking that they have to shit. I don't know. I learned how to film by myself. I sound like I'm a 5-year-old girl right now. But you try it. You try taking this, hold on, breaking the fourth wall. You try taking this big ass camera out in public with you and filming. That is like not a vibe, and that is so embarrassing. Try it, come talk to the queen. We'll settle this, we'll see how this goes. That was a tangent about filming, but I hope that helped. Tip number 7 is to stay inspired through YouTube videos, Pinterest boards, Tumblr if you guys still use Tumblr, you know, images, videos, podcasts, books, you know, movies, TV shows. This is literally my secret. This is how I learn, you know, everything in terms of being aesthetic, where I want to travel, my outfits. It's because I have stayed inspired. And I can contrast you know, a moment in my life where I thought that was a waste of time, and I actually just stopped inspiring myself. I stopped watching the YouTube vlogs of people doing what it is that I want to do. I stopped going on Pinterest and looking at those inspirational posts. I stopped going on Instagram and looking at outfits that, you know, inspire me to dress like that, and different stuff like that, or hauls or outfits of the days on YouTube. I stopped doing that and I kind of got a little bit stale. You are a human, not a robot. You need to have constant inspiration. I'm giving you permission to go on Pinterest or YouTube and watch movies, because honestly, we all need inspiration. For my creatives out there, you're not going to be making the most unique content that has never been done before. Everything is recycled from something else. And so it's incredibly important to be versatile in the content that you consume. Don't just watch YouTube vlog of Casey Neistat. Maybe watch some Sam Calder once in a while. That was such a basic example, but you know what I mean. You know what my secret is? You know what my inspiration is to being a bad bitch? It's Megan Thee Stallion and Pinterest boards. Lizzo, friggin' Saweetie. Pretty bitch music.
I see gang like Aspen. All the pretty girls know they gotta tap in.
That kind of stuff is super important to being a bad bitch, because it is the fuel to your fire. It is something that's gonna keep you going. Okay, so tip number 8 is truly don't care what other people think of you. I remember reading Confessions of an Heiress by Paris Hilton. when I was about 8 years old, and there was a quote that stuck with me to this day, and I tried to find it online, but I can't. But it went somewhere along the lines of, I don't get embarrassed. Whenever I do something embarrassing, I just say, that's hot, and move on.
That's hot.
Even if you fake it and you're so embarrassed by it on the inside, just be like, that's hot.
That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot.
Have that vibe around you that you don't care whenever you do something embarrassing. Even if you don't do something embarrassing and you walk out and anything that you do, you're constantly overthinking and you're like, what if this person thinks of me this way? Or I can't post on YouTube because last time I did, I got 30 views and people are going to laugh at me. Okay, even if they are, that's hot. Like, okay.
That's hot. That's hot. That's really hot. That's hot. That's hot. They're hot. That's hot. That's hot.
While you're gonna be thinking about it, I'm gonna be actually putting in the work, putting in the action. And if that person doesn't like it, it's that person's problem.
Whoever don't like it, it's that man's problem.
So as a teenager, I would be like, oh, I'm so scared of walking out in like a skirt because people will think I'm being too overdressed. Because I've had a situation in high school where a lot of people were like, you're too overdressed. And I was just like wearing a skirt and boots, and so I would constantly overthink, being like, oh, is this overdressed? While now it's like, you need to bring it back to Paris Hilton. They probably don't even think what you think that they think. You're just overthinking it. Stop thinking and just do it. Just do it. If you come across people who are verbally telling you that they don't like what you're doing or saying or wearing or posting or anything like that, cut them out of your life or limit your time with them. Why should you limit yourself or restrict yourself and your personality from someone who doesn't even understand your perspective, from someone who has not lived your life, who doesn't fully understand you? You will attract the people that will, and those are the most important people in your life. Tip number 9, the last and final tip, is show interest in others. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a section of a book that I've read twice already because it's very, very valuable. You might have heard of the book before. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. People who talk only of themselves think only of themselves. And those people who only think of themselves are hopelessly uneducated. They are not educated, no matter how instructed they may be. So if you aspire to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener. To be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that only persons will enjoy answering. Encourage them to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. Remember that the people you are talking to are 100 times more interested in themselves and their wants and problems than they are in you and your problems. A person's toothache means more to that person than a famine in China which kills 1 million people. A boil on one's neck interests one more than 40 earthquakes in Africa. Think of that the next time you start a conversation. Now, need I say more? I don't think so. You are only going to be interesting when you are interested in other people. Apart from talking about boys and gossiping and all of that stuff in high school, there were moments where, you want to talk about different things other than boys. I feel like looking back, I only talked about myself, and that was because I was genuinely only interested in myself. That's totally natural for you to be interested in yourself. In fact, it would be weird if you didn't. It's a natural human emotion. You're meant to look out for yourself. But when you open yourself up to being interested in other people, that's when you are going to be asking genuinely interesting questions. I remember as a teenager, I would go on YouTube and try to read all these books on how to carry a conversation. And while the tips were interesting and valuable, like the branching method of, people saying, oh, I went to the gym today and then I did this. You branch out on one thing and then you ask them about that. I use that as well, and that's great. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link that video in the description box because it's a popular concept and it helps. If you genuinely are interested in other people, you're going to be asking interesting questions. If you think about yourself, the conversation is just not going to be natural. It's going to be a lot of me, and honestly, to put it completely bluntly, no one gives a shit. It's the same thing as not caring about other people, thinking whatever they think about you. Because at the end of the day, no one gives a shit. No one cares what you do. No one cares what you post. No one cares what you eat. No one cares what you wear. At the end of the day, everyone is caring about themselves. Susan, who you think is judging you, is actually internalizing whether Brian is going to like her next Instagram post, which of course he is, Susan, because Brian is a fuck boy. Of course we are curious about other people, but when it comes to Kim Kardashian's marriage and your marriage, which one would you save? I'm guessing and I'm hoping you're gonna say your own marriage, right? As juicy as whatever is happening with Kim and Kanye is, you'd rather, you know, work towards your marriage, right? I mean, priorities. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and you got some value out of it. Comment down below what point resonated with you the most and provided you with the most value. Please like this video and subscribe. I would love to have you guys here with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.